Hello, Crusaders. I am Trevor Gooch, a part of the class of 2015. Today we are bringing you another edition of our Canisius Crusader Alumni series. Joining us today is Mr. Samuel Russo from the class of 2001. Mr. Russo is the partner in the Select One search firm and is also a member of the Canisius High School Alumni Board of Governors. It is my pleasure to introduce Mr. Sam Russo today.
Thanks for having me in.
No problem.
Appreciate it.
As you are visiting the school today, do any memories come back or strike you?
Oh, I mean, there's too many to count. Lots of memories of teachers, classmates, experiences that I had at the school, but a lot of fond memories for sure.
Cool. And then, when attending at Canisius, what was something that you enjoyed about the school itself, just in general?
The school itself, I mean, for me, it was a sense of camaraderie. It was a place that I, especially as a junior and senior, that I really looked forward to coming to every day. So, in terms of, that type of thing, it was a place that I knew that I could come. It was a brotherhood. So, I forged some fantastic friendships there.
Mm-hmm.
And they're friendships that have blossomed into business relationships and lifelong friendships where, a lot of my friends that graduated from here are dispersed throughout the country that I still keep in touch with. But that's really something that kind of comes rushing back to me. It's just, you walk the halls and the faces have changed, but really I think the experiences probably haven't changed all that much for people.
Definitely. I feel like that's a lot with the freshmen now.
Yeah.
I experienced that well as there's just a big camaraderie with people. That's for sure.
Absolutely.
Was there ever a specific teacher at Canisius whose class you enjoyed, or you either goofed off, or you knew you could trust that teacher talking to about something?
Absolutely. Let's see. Father Garaventa just comes to mind because I don't know that I've ever learned so much and laughed so much at the same time. There are plenty of stories I could tell that maybe he wouldn't want me telling on camera, and I probably wouldn't either because they'd embarrass me as well. But I think the lowest score on our AP exam, I had him for AP history. I think the lowest score was a 4.
Wow.
So that's a testament to we had a pretty smart group of guys in that class,
Right.
But really diverse perspectives, senses of humor. And so we had a lot of fun, but at the same time, I don't think we realized quite how much we were learning and how much we were absorbing.
Yeah.
Father Garaventa for sure. I'd say Dr. Kimmel, who at the time was Mrs. Kimmel, pre-doctorate, but her class was fantastic. It for me brought a level of kind of introspection to my life that maybe I didn't have previously, but forced me to look at the detail behind the words that people would say to me and the things that I would read, and to think more critically about my world. So that's something that's had a profound impact on my life, and I could go on. I could definitely keep going, but those are two that stand out right at the top.
Nice. So going back to Select One Search, what exactly is Select One Search, and how did you get involved with it?
Sure. So Select One, we're an executive search firm and staffing company in Western New York. And so what we do is companies hire us to find people for them. So we, as an example, we might work with a company that needs to find a chief financial officer, and they'll engage our company and pay us a fee to go find them a person with the skills that they're looking for. So in terms of a little bit of information on our company, we're an 18-person firm. We support a wide variety of industries and different size businesses, from some of the biggest employers in the area like M&T Bank all the way down to some of the smallest nonprofits in the area. And our business is primarily organized by 3 main kind of business units. We organize by skill area that we're recruiting. So accounting and finance, information technology, and engineering and technical operations are our 3 main areas that we service.
Okay. Wow.
Yep. In terms of how I came to Select One, I actually started my career in public accounting with Ernst & Young. I'm a CPA by trade.
Okay.
And I was recruited by my recruiter. So I'd been looking to potentially leave Ernst & Young at the time, and I met a guy by the name of Ron Faso, who's unfortunately a St. Joe's alum, but now one of my partners. And Ron, at the time, they had just launched their company a couple years prior, and they were looking to expand. And so he thought I would have the skill set to help them grow their business. I thought that my skills would be aligned with the type of work I'd be doing, and the rest is kind of history. So I've been with the company in total almost 8 years now.
Wow.
But through the course of that 8 years, we've grown substantially from a 3-person company to an 18-person company in different increments, and we're going to continue to grow.
Wow, that's nice.
Yeah.
Is there any animosity between you and the St. Joe's alum?
Well, so, I'll get occasionally, and he knows I'm very involved in the school,
Right.
which occasionally I'll get, a sideways look about time I'm spending with projects I'm working on with the alumni board. And I'll hear Daisy muttered under his breath. And, but then I say, how involved are you with your school? How much do you care about your school? Clearly not very much, because you don't spend that much time doing it. So I always kind of get that last jab in there, and then he shuts up because it's the truth, But I think he's mentioned to me a number of times that he's kind of observed the alumni network of Canisius that seems to be more vibrant and passionate in Western New York, and I've kind of seen that too, because I'm actually good friends with a number of Joe's alums, and they just don't seem to have the same level of passion for their school that the guys that I'm still friends with from Canisius, which there's a bunch of them, and there just seems to be a little bit of a difference there. But yeah, he teases me about it. Yeah.
As any Joe's alum would.
Yeah, of course, but it's substanceless, and
Right.
it's all based in jealousy anyways.
Exactly. So in your bio, it said that you love music and you love to play instruments. So
I do.
What kind of motivated you to play instruments, and your passion for love, or passion for music? I'm sorry.
Sure. So I started playing piano when I was 4 years old. My mom got me started in piano lessons, and so it became a big part of my life from a very young age. So I just became accustomed to doing that. When I was, I think, 7 or 8, I started playing the trumpet, and that, kind of further embedded music in me. And then, by the time I was an early teenager, I started to get into classic rock, and I found a passion for, alternative rock and, some, like, hip-hop and R&B in the 90s and stuff. And then when I was in high school, when I was 15, I taught myself to play guitar.
Wow.
And that's when it really stuck, and I kind of got bit by the bug. So it's funny, if you had asked me the first, until I was, 13 or 14, I probably would have told you I was a piano player. And then in my mid-teenage years, I probably would have told you I was a trumpet player. And now if people ask me, what do you play? I tell them guitar, because I play guitar a few hours a week.
Wow.
So for me, music's an outlet, right?
Right.
It's something that you don't have to think about doing. You feel it more, and it can become a conduit to release, any type of frustration or emotions that you have. And I think it's kind of a great, healthy release.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
it's a very important part of my life.
Nice. So after graduating from Canisius High School, what were your plans? Did you imagine that you had any idea that you'd be a part of something like Select One Search? Was that your initial plan, to be a part of a firm like that?
Well, so I think the plan that I had in my head, I knew from a pretty young age that I have a kind of an entrepreneurial thought process. I had the notion that I wanted to lead a business, or be part of a leadership team of a business, or own multiple businesses. And to be quite honest with you, I had absolutely no idea how I was going to do that. I had absolutely no idea what those businesses would do, or what I would sell, or how I would sell it. But what I found, though, was some people in my life that gave me some consistent advice, and that was, make sure that you get a specific deliverable skill set. And then once you have that, and as you're building that skill set, work as hard as you can to build the strongest relationships with people that you feel can influence you as you possibly can, and make sure that you give to those relationships unconditionally. And so, I just kind of followed the path. When I joined Select One, my thought process was, okay, I met these two guys that are partners in this business. They had one employee at the time, and I thought to myself, okay, I think I can do this job well. I think I have the personality for it. I understand business, and I was a financial recruiter. That was the position I was hired into. And, there was little risk for me. I had no house, no kid, no wife at the time. So I figured, okay, the worst that happens is I'm a terrible recruiter, and they place me in the best job that they have. The upside that I saw was, okay, there's a chance that if I add a lot of value to this company, that that maybe there's a really long-term perspective, an arc for me, and a growth opportunity there. And ultimately, that's kind of what ended up happening. We grew together, and ultimately became partners. But if you told me 10 years ago I'd be doing this, I'd probably look at you a little bit sideways, just in terms of what I'm doing. But the entrepreneurial aspect of it, I mean, that was part of my plan. That was part of my dream.
Wow, that's cool. So, Mr. Capola was telling me that you're very close with your brother, and who's also an alumni. Can you explain that? Was there obviously, I know I have a brother, and I've kind of tried to be a mentor, I guess, in retrospect. So, is there any brotherly love between you two?
Absolutely. So Nick and I are very close, despite the fact that we're about 9 years apart in age. But I mean, relating to Canisius, I've got some pretty incredible memories with Nick. I mean, his senior year, he was the captain of the baseball team, so he's very close with Mr. Tenney. And he hit the game-winning double to beat St. Francis in the Cup.
Wow, that's
at Pilot
awesome.
Field, at Coca-Cola Field.
Wow.
And I just happened to be shooting it on my phone at the time, his at bat, and caught it on my cell phone. And
That's awesome.
yeah, it was pretty amazing. But Nick, a funny story about Nick. So when I was in 8th grade, and I had come to an open house at Canisius with my mom and my dad, and my brother came with me. And he told Father Ciancimino, who at the time I believe was the principal, but was departing for Father Matamore. He had come over to introduce himself to our family, and my brother, who at the time, so I was 13. I mean, he had to be 4 years old, and I don't know where he got this from, but he told Father C that he was going to be the Canisius class of 2010. And I don't know if my dad told him that or what, but I mean, it's a 4-year-old kid. And
Right.
He told Father C that, and I remember it clear as day. But yeah, Nick, coming to Canisius was a very special thing for me, and it was really special for him. He's one of my best friends. We've got a great relationship, and Canisius is a huge part of it.
That's nice. I know, I feel like that's a lot with guys my age or in passing. I mean, it's a legacy almost kind
It
of
is.
thing, and
It is.
they want to keep the name going eventually if it's their brothers or their kids, you know.
Absolutely.
So, what motivated you to be a part of the Alumni Board of Governors here at Canisius? I know you were saying how much Canisius alums give back. You know, why did you want to be a part of it a little more, I guess?
For me, that's simple. I came to this school, lower middle class upbringing. I couldn't afford the tuition here. I ended up getting a half academic scholarship my whole time I was here, which ultimately was the only reason that I was able to come. And so to me, I always told myself at some point I want to be able to give back, in some form or fashion, whether that's time or money or talent, whatever it is. And so, with Paul Zablocki being director of alumni relations about 7 years ago, he approached me and said, "Look, we could use some youth on the alumni board. Are you interested in this?" And we kind of walked through what it was, and I jumped at it. I said, "This is a great opportunity." So the first few years that I was on the board, I kind of took a back seat and figured out, how it was run, what the positives were that we did, maybe what were some of the things that could be improved. And then the last few years, I've had an opportunity to have a leadership role on the board. This year, I'm president. It'll probably be my last year. I've told Paul that a dozen times. For me, it's making sure that the alumni population, Western New York and beyond, making sure that that's vibrant is really important to Canisius's legacy. It's not, to me, it's not good enough to go to an organization that gives so much to you and then leave and forget about it and move on. The reality is that in order for that organization to grow and be prosperous, it needs people that received a great benefit from it. It needs those people to become engaged constituents to grow the organization forward. So for me, it's like that's my best way that I can give back. It's something that I've been proud and happy to do.
Wow, that's special. Also, I was also told that you love Buffalo, and we were kind of talking about that before. How did you develop this love for Buffalo? Is it just because it was your home, or?
Yeah, it's a few things. It's 6-year-old kid sitting on his couch crying when Scott Norwood misses a kick. It's, 15-year-old kid, almost throwing a television remote through the TV when, a foot's in the crease, Game 6 of the Stanley Cup. I mean, sports is a huge part of that. But also, too, I feel like I have a sense of connectedness with an underdog mentality. So I've always been the type of person that when somebody tells me I can't do something, it makes me want to do it all the more, and especially authority figures. And so I feel like Buffalo, growing up, it was just constantly, every time I'd leave the area, it was, oh, you live in Buffalo? Oh, like there's some type of negative connotation associated with that. And so for me now especially, I've always been kind of a rabid defender of Buffalo, and I feel like this is a great place to live. It was a great place to grow up. I grew up in the suburbs, but Canisius is what ultimately led me to want to live in the city. I feel like repopulation, re-energizing of neighborhoods in the city, I think that's bringing an urban core back together and vibrant communities in the center of an urban area. I think that's really important to an area's revitalization. So, when my wife and I, when we got engaged and we bought our first home, we bought in North Buffalo. We just bought a new home in North Buffalo. For us, living in the suburbs kind of became not an option. But I feel like, especially over the last 5 years, Buffalo's hit a tipping point in terms of economic development, in terms of kind of self-sufficiency with this growth that we're going through. You could take a walk around downtown, Canal Side, the Harbor Center, all the talk of a potential new stadium that I think it's pretty imminent that it's going to be built in the city.
Yeah, definitely.
And there is this, all of these different catalysts, the Buffalo Niagara Medical Campus, companies that are growing, talk of Solar City bringing 3,000 jobs here. Now the company's owned by Elon Musk, who's one of the best entrepreneurs in the world.
Right.
There's such a confluence of factors that are going on that I think make Buffalo a truly compelling place to be and an exceptional place to live and raise a family. So I play on this pond hockey team out of Chicago.
Okay.
And they just, it's like, oh, well, you're from Buffalo. And I play with my brother-in-law, who's obviously from Buffalo. And they just, Kevin and I talk about Buffalo, and they can just tell that, like, we are so proud of where we're from. And anytime they talk about how great Chicago is, I'm just, right there with,
right.
Okay, well, the dining scene is awesome in Buffalo, and, you can do this, and can you drive, 45 minutes in Chicago and get to, a major East Coast ski resort? Right. No, you can do that in Buffalo. You can go to the beach in the summertime too. So I think it's a fantastic place to live.
Definitely. So when looking back on your school experience, what do you miss the most? I know that's one thing I've been going through, being part of volleyball, is my career's event. It is over now. And I know there's been other alumni who have told me, take it while you have it, I guess, kind of thing.
Yeah, it's funny. So I think each phase of life that I've gone through, there's been like a yearning for the simplicity of earlier years. Right, so now it's easy for me to look back and say, oh, wow, things were so great when I was in high school, especially senior year. It's just, there's flexibility, there's freedom. The burden of kind of figuring out where you're going to go to college is past you, and so you're focusing on these awesome relationships that you have with your classmates and your best friends and that sort of thing. But the reality is, I think any phase of your life, when you're in it, it's more complex than you remember it being. And right. So I think people tend to remember the positive aspects of it. But, for me, the thing that I probably miss the most is, there's a group of 5 or 6 guys that I was just super tight with and still am, that I was fortunate enough to be able to spend every day with, right? And, just teasing each other and the practical jokes, right. And studying for a tough test together, helping each other out, going to dinner on the weekends, doing fun stuff together like that. I miss that a lot. But in the same vein, one of the guys in that group, he married a woman that was a first-generation Indian immigrant, and wow. They got married in India, and so he sent all of us invitations on a whim, and by some fluke, all of us were able to attend his wedding wow. in New Delhi. So flew all the way across the world. to go to this wedding. We were there for a week, and it's just, this experience that I wouldn't trade for anything. So it's funny because even though the proximity doesn't exist anymore, the strength of those relationships and our ability to just pick right back up where we left off, it's pretty special. But I definitely miss that.
Wow.
For sure.
Definitely. Well, Mr. Russo, thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you too.
Thank you so much, and that's another edition of our Canisius Crusader Alumni Series.
That was fun. Thanks.